Here we are going to discuss about the locomotion and movement. First of all, what is meant by locomotion? It is the voluntary movement of an individual from one place to another. So if you needed anything, then what you are going to do? So on your own will, you will move from one place to another. So that is called as the locomotion. So the voluntary movement of an individual from one place to another. On your own will, if you are moving means, then that is locomotion. Now what is meant by movement? So a movement is nothing but it is the displacement of a body or a part of the body from its original position. So what they are saying, if you want to locomote from one place to another, then what you are going to do? You are going to just displace your legs. So only with the help of the legs you are moving. So you are walking, you are running. So that's what. So now what you are doing, you are just from your resting position, when your legs are in the resting position. Now only with the displacement of your legs, what you are doing? So you are just changing the direction and you are moving and you are reaching your respective destination. So this is called as movement. It is the displacement of a body or a part of the body from its original position. Understood? Now there are three types of movement. Here this three types of movement is occurring inside our cell, inside our body. Okay. Now what are these three types? One is amoeboid movement, ciliary movement, and next one is muscular movement. So amoeboid movement means like how amoeba will be producing pseudopodia, and with the help of pseudopodia, which is considered as false feet, so it is moving from one place to another, so through the streaming of protoplasm. So that is called as amoeboid movement. Now what is ciliary movement? Like how paramecium is having many cilia. So cilia, that is fine hair-like structures around them. With the help of that organ, it is moving from one place to another. And then the muscular movement. So now we can see it in detail. So amoeboid movement means amoeba-like movement. So certain cells like macrophages will experience this kind of amoeba-like movement. Now we can see into it. See here. So this is the amoeboid movement. So how our this is the macrophage cell. So it is just attracted towards the foreign particle. So see here, if this is the foreign particle, unwanted foreign particle, it should be eradicated. Now our macrophages is just attracted towards the foreign particle and it is moving along towards the foreign particle. So this is how the amoeboid movement is taking place. Amoeboid movement is taking place in the macrophages. So it is carried out by pseudopodia, false feet, formed by the streaming of protoplasm. How the pseudopodia is formed? By the streaming of protoplasm, as in amoeba. How in amoeba the pseudopodia, this false feet, is formed? How the false feet is formed? That is how this pseudopodia is formed, by the streaming of protoplasm. Like that, like in amoeba, here in our certain cells in our body also, this like for example macrophages. So the there is a movement, amoeba like movement is observed. How this macrophages is moving towards the target cell? So through the pseudopodia formed by the streaming of protoplasm. Such movement is observed where? So it is observed in macrophages, leukocytes, and cytoskeletal elements like microfilaments. Understood? So just they will be asking in the one words also. Amoeboid movement is observed in which kind of cells? So macrophages, leukocytes, and microfilaments. Okay, understood? So this is amoeboid movement. So how this macrophage like cells are moving? With the help of pseudopodia, like in amoeba, through streaming of protoplasm, the pseudopodia is formed, and through that the macrophages are moving towards the respective target cells. Now next one is ciliary movement. So ciliary movement you already know. So the ciliary movement, for example, you can, I have even told you about the ciliated epithelium, which is present in the nose, inside the nostrils. So which is used for filtering the waste, so filtering the unwanted dust particles and other pathogens. So now this is the ciliated epithelium. Now we can so now can you understand what is the ciliary movement? It occurs due to the movement of cilia. So when this cilia started to contract and expand, so that is when it is started to so undergo a wave like movement, then it will just what it will do. So see here, even in this image also, so they have just showed you. So how due to the wave like movement, it will just entrap and it will just prevent the unwanted pathogens or any kind of dust particles to inhale into our lungs. Okay, now it occurs due to the movement of cilia. Example, ciliated epithelium, lined internal tubular organs. So most of our visceral organs will be lined with ciliated epithelium, and then even trachea or windpipe, and then female reproductive tract. So where is the ciliary movement is observed? Ciliated epithelium, which is lined in internal tubular organs, that is in the internal visceral organs, and then trachea, and then female reproductive tract. Understood? So now the next one is muscular movement. So we all are having all this kind of, our whole body is made up of muscles. This muscles, for example, even a heart. So our heart is contracting and expanding. This is also one kind of a movement only, no? So this heart is contracting and expanding because of the, it is completely covered with cardiac muscles. So likewise, muscular movement is nothing but in this muscles are involved. In this movement, muscles are involved. Example, limbs, jaws, tongue, etc. Okay, so these are the three important types of movement: amoeboid movement, ciliary movement, and muscular movement. So amoeboid movement is found in macrophages, leukocytes, and cytoskeleton elements like microfilaments. So macrophages, leukocytes, that is in our WBC, and then in our microfilaments. So just you have to, should not forget, you have to remember all this kind of things. Next one is ciliary movement. It is found in ciliated epithelium, and then female reproductive tract, and then where it is found in trachea also. So now muscular movement, limbs, jaws, tongue, etc. Okay, now we can move on to the, we are going to study detail about muscles. So the muscles are specialized tissues of mesodermal origin. So see here, mesodermal origin means, so we have studied this following germ layers. So the external layer is the ectoderm, the middle layer is the mesoderm, and the inner layer is endoderm. So we already know that. Now where this muscles are originated, is originated from the mesoderm. So that's why even our heart tissues are also it has been originated this mesodermic origin. We have studied about this. So they have properties like excitability means it can be excited, so by certain impulses, certain stimulus can be excited. It is having contractility, that means can contract, and then it can easily expand, and it is having elasticity. If one thing is having the property of contracting and expanding, then it is considered as is having the elasticity property. Understood? Okay, so now muscles are of three types. We have already learned about this. So skeletal muscles, visceral muscles, and our cardiac muscles. So see here, the skeletal muscles are otherwise called as, so this is the skeletal muscle. So it has been many, if you closely observe here, many lines are there. So many striations are present here. This kind of striation. So that's why the skeletal muscles are otherwise called as striated muscles. What are they? What they are called? Striated muscles. And at the same time, as these muscles are attached with skeleton, with our bone, it is otherwise called as voluntary muscles. So there are two important names for this, alternative names for the skeletal muscles. So one will be voluntary muscles. So wait a minute. So one will be voluntary muscles, and then striated muscles. Understood? Now for visceral muscles. So visceral muscles, so see here, this is the visceral muscles. See here, like our skeletal muscles, there is no any striations are observed inside this muscles. So it is so smooth in nature. So they are not rough like skeletal muscle. It is so smooth in nature. So they are otherwise called as smooth muscle, then unstriated muscle, and then involuntary muscles. Involuntary muscles. Understood? So this visceral muscles, why they are called as involuntary muscles? Visceral means inside our body there are many organs are there. So now to carry out our metabolic activities like digestion, then even in your lower class you will be studying about the peristaltic movement, and then even other kinds of respiration, reproduction, all these kind of things are considered as an involuntary actions. Now the muscles that are enclosing the involuntary actions, involuntary organs, is called as involuntary muscles. Okay, so the visceral muscles are their alternative names: smooth muscles, unstriated muscles, and involuntary muscles. And then comes the cardiac muscles, which are surround the muscles that make the our heart. So now in skeletal muscles, these are also called as, so see here, here itself they have mentioned, these are also called as striated muscles, as they have light and dark bands. So see here, so they will be having, in certain places the band will be so light in nature, and in certain places the bands will be so dark in nature. That's what they have mentioned here. So in these muscles, in skeletal muscles, they are also called as striated muscles because they are having light and dark bands. Okay, so now skeletal muscles are attached to bones by tendons. So in connective tissues you will be studying about this. The skeletal muscles are attached to bones by tendons. So these tendons is a connective tissue. Only with this tendons we can move our hand, so we can we can do whatever we needed with our hands. So for that the muscles have to get attached to our bone. So only if the muscles are attached to our bone, so we can, so only with this help of this muscles can extract, it can expand and contract. No, only with this kind of property we can move our hand. Okay, understood? And the skeletal muscles are called as voluntary muscles. So we can move our hand in our own will. So that's why it is called as voluntary muscles. So these are unbranched. So these are unbranched and they are cylindrical in shape. So see here, they are just like a cylindrical in shape. So now these are the skeletal muscles. And the next one is the, so skeletal muscles, next one is the smooth muscle. So now what is the smooth muscle? The smooth muscle, they won't have any kind of light and dark bands will be present here. Understood? In the smooth muscle, so as this muscle is present throughout the body, so it is present throughout the body. So wherever there are organs are present, the smooth muscle is found, where it serves a variety of functions. So it is in the stomach, it is in the intestine, where it helps with digestion and nutrient collection. So now it is helping in digestion process, it is helping in assimilation process. So it is even helping in the peristalsis movement of our food. It exits throughout the urinary system. So where it functions to help to rid the body of toxins and works in electrolyte balance. So in the urinary system also, the smooth muscles are helping us to just get rid of our toxins. So toxins means poisonous substances, and also it is functioning in balancing of electrolyte, that is electrolytic balance in our body. Understood? So what is the smooth muscle? So the smooth muscle is otherwise called as unstriated muscles or involuntary muscles. So it is present throughout our body. So it serves variety of functions, like it is in the stomach, and also it is present in the intestine. It is helping in digestion and nutrient collection, that is in assimilation process also. It is exists throughout. So exists throughout means it is present everywhere in urinary system, where it functions to help to rid of the toxins from the body, and also it works in the electrolytic balance. Understood? So now next one is the cardiac muscle or myocardium. So myo, if a word is starting with myoglobin, myo means muscles. So myo means muscles. So now myocardium means, so the cardiac muscles. Understood? So it makes up the thick middle layer of the heart. So it is making up the thick middle layer of the heart, and you already know about the function. Only with the help of these muscles, the contraction and expansion of muscle is taking place. And now I have forgot to mention about a small portion about the skeletal muscles. So see here, the skeletal muscles are so red in nature, no? So now there are two types of skeletal muscles. The skeletal muscles has been differentiated into two types. So skeletal muscles has been differentiated into two types. So now what are they? One is the red part of the muscle. So red muscle and white muscle. So this type of differentiation, So this type of differentiation is found only in the skeletal muscles. So the skeletal muscle or voluntary muscle has been differentiated into two types. One is red muscle and white muscle. What is the red muscle? It is due to the pigment myoglobin. How in our RBC, our red blood cell is having hemoglobin. So how our RBC is having hemoglobin, likewise our muscles, our skeletal muscle in certain area, it is having a pigment called myoglobin. I already told you that myo means muscle. So myoglobin is one of the pigment which is giving our muscles a red in color. So these are aerobic muscles. That's why. So aerobic muscles means in these kind of muscles, the oxygen pigment, the oxygen concentration will be so high. So that's why it is called as aerobic muscles. So red muscle, white muscle. So again I am saying red and white muscle is nothing but is one of the differentiation of skeletal muscle. So here the red muscle, it is having a pigment called myoglobin. So due to this myoglobin pigment only, so you can see more concentration of oxygen molecules. That's why they have mentioned here as aerobic muscles. Now what about white muscles? So this white muscle is also one of the component of the skeletal muscle. It contains very less myoglobin. So all this, so now in this white muscle they contain very less myoglobin. That's why they are slightly pale in color. That pale color is considered as white muscles. Okay, so these are mainly anaerobic. So as this is white in color, that is they are pale, so there is the oxygen concentration will be very low. So that's why they are considered as anaerobic. Anaerobic means so these muscles does not need any kind of oxygen. So only fewer oxygen will be present. So it can easily survive in anaerobic. Okay, understood. So our skeletal muscles has been classified into two types. One is red muscle and the white muscle. The red muscle, it is due to the presence of pigment myoglobin. These are aerobic muscles. White muscles, they contain very less myoglobin. At the same time, in turn, what will happen? As only less myoglobin is present, the oxygen concentration also will be very few, very lower. So these are mainly anaerobic in condition. Okay, understood. So this is all about our types of muscles and all our movement in inside our body parts. Thank you.